I can see
Okay.
you.
Good.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh,
Can you hear me well as well?
yes,
Can you
yes.
hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I can hear you. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Amazing. All right. We're going to jump into it. For the benefit of everyone who is watching, Miss Franklin is watching. Thank you for joining us. And everyone who will watch the live later. My name is Remi Roy, and I am the founder of Shepact. And every month at Shepact, we have a theme of the month that we're reflecting on, something we're thinking about. And this month, we're thinking about joy. We're reflecting on joy. And every month we like to have somebody come on and just have a chat, have a conversation about the theme, because I think it's very intentional. It's very important for us to be intentional about our lives and the things we're doing. So today we're talking about joy. And I have Amesha with me. Amesha, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me. All right. So we're just going to jump into it. Amesha, I know that you are a creative. And right now we actually just posted your feature.
You
We
did.
do. Yes, we have a feature on Amesha on our Instagram profile right now. So if you're watching this after the live, please go read it. It is very insightful, and I'm thankful to Amesha for sharing her story with us. I think it's very important for us to find ways to talk about our stories, to talk about the impact we're making or the impact we want to make in the world. I really believe that. And so please check that out. But Amesha, let's talk about what you do. So I know that you're a creative. I know that you work as a voiceover artist. You're a content creator. Tell us a little bit more about what you do and how long you've been doing creative work.
Yeah. So I've been a Christian content creator, more specifically about, I'd say the last 3 or 4 years specifically, with A Moment with Amesha. That's the name of my platform. A Moment with Amesha didn't always focus on the kind of content that I do now. Years ago, I had aspirations of being an actress and things. And so when I created my YouTube channel called A Moment with Amesha, it was pretty much focused to document that journey. And then I felt around 2019, the Lord tugging on me to kind of switch directions. And so I wanted to then, I just had a heart to share with women my faith and to point them to Christ. And so that's when that transition happened. And so I've been doing that since then on. And so on A Moment with Amesha, my mission is to help women to walk in faith, to grow in wisdom, and to live for Jesus. That is my passion. It's my desire to bring all kinds of different creativity, whether it's with reels, stories, or posts to just inspire and encourage and uplift women out there, my sisters in Christ. And then the most current project that I've been working on with A Moment with Amesha is my Culture versus Christ series. It's been about 2 weeks now. I started it last week where I did a post about following your heart. And let me just back up. Culture versus Christ basically is a series about how sometimes we start to believe the lies and deceptions of the world, and then we forget about biblical truth. We forget about the standard of Christ. And so I was inspired to create this. You know, sometimes you have in your phone little notes about things you'd like to do as you're being a creative. You're just trying to make sure you don't forget a thought.
Yes.
And it was so funny. Like the other day, I was scrolling through my phone and I saw it. And I was like, oh wow, this is something that I had I envisioned a long time ago. And so I was grateful for being able to bring that out and just take it from notes into an actual thing. And so that's what I've been working on recently as far as with A Moment with Amesha, is just capturing those deceptions and having it side by side with biblical truth. As far as voiceover is more on the new side for me. I've been a professional voiceover artist for I think about 7 months now. And I've been loving it. It's a journey, but I love it. I get hired by clients. I'm a freelance voiceover artist. So clients hire me to do voiceover their commercials or narrations or audiobooks. I do corporate narrations, podcasts, intros and outros, e-learning, all kinds of things. I mean, it's just endless with voiceover, what you can do with it. So I've been enjoying that. My most recent project this week was being able to narrate some passages from, I don't know if you're familiar with Zora Neale Hurston. She's an author, a very notable African-American figure in history. And she's an author and anthropologist. And I was able to imitate her voice and narrate a few passages of hers. And so that was so fun. I had to do a lot of research and figure out, do some behind the scenes work and figure out how to make her voice come to life, and or through me anyway. And so that was a very fun project. But I enjoy voiceover work, and I'm so glad that I found something that I really like to do. Although I'm no stranger, you know, in front of the camera and being on sets and in plays and on stage and things, you know, doing something like voiceover is somewhat similar, but you get to do it by yourself. And it's almost like an introvert's dream, because I get to work at home.
Yes.
I'm in my at-home studio.
Yeah.
There's nobody bothering me. I like people now.
Oh.
But you know, it's a different vibe for sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. I love everything you said, because I really connect with that. I'm a creative also through and through. I've always been a creative. Yeah. And sometimes, like you said in your feature, I love your article, because you talked about how it took a while for you to get to the point of accepting that, okay, this is the way I am. This is what I am meant to do. Mm-hmm. And not feel the pressure, you know, from family, loved ones with good intentions, wanting to, you know, take a different path, because it's always, we grow up with that sense of understanding, or just feeling like the creative things we want to do, it's not going to be enough to sustain you. Like, what are you talking about? You need to go get a real job, you know? And I, many of us, that is a difficult path, especially if you know deep down that you're creative and you want to be able to make an income doing the things that you love. It is a journey. I've been there. I've walked it. I've gone through the ups and the downs. So I definitely appreciate what you're saying, and I'm grateful that you're able to, you know, just walk that path and find it work for you. I mean, doing voiceover work, being able to do it on your own time, that's amazing, you know. And also like the content creation and really going after your passions in that way. I think it's awesome. I think every woman should think about their lives that way. I know it's difficult, especially we feel the pressure to make an income. We feel the pressure to take care of our families, and you have to go make money somehow. But then you have dreams that you want to pursue. You have things that you want to do. I think we can figure out a way to do both, you know. There's this concept that I love that says start while you wait. So maybe waiting to be able to be in a position to do the things that we want. But I feel like even in the midst of when it's difficult, we can find ways, little ways to experience that dream. It will take a lot of time, a lot of mental energy and challenge, but I think it's possible. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so let's talk about joy, right? Because I want to make this connection between joy and productivity. Yes. Have you been joyful about your career path, about the things that you're doing, or have there been like ebbs and flows?
I don't know how much time we have for me to answer this, but the short answer is no, definitely no. Of course, you know, joy, there's been definitely a flow of ebbs and flows.
Yes.
And there's, you know, joy has come and joy kind of, you know, it just floats about. But the short answer is no. And I say that because there have been a lot of seasons in my life where I just wasn't really sure about what God had called me to do. Or if I felt like I found something, I just wasn't certain that was it. And so it was just such a very stressful season to be in, when you just don't feel like you're really living out your dream, and you know that God has called you to do something powerful or to accomplish some kind of goal. And it's just, you know, it just feel like you're just unsure, you're just uncertain. And so I know years past, when I first started venturing out into acting and things, I was a full-time elementary music school teacher. I did that for about 5 years, and then I just, you know, I felt like that just wasn't it anymore. I wasn't passionate about it, and so I left teaching and I went to, you know, do the acting thing. And one thing I'll say then, I felt like the difference between leaving teaching then versus leaving my most recent 9 to 5 and doing voiceover is that now I did the voiceover thing now, knowing that I needed to seek the Lord's guidance. versus back during that time when I left teaching, it was more of like, oh, I'm following my heart. This is what I feel like I'm going to do. And, you know, I did have a genuine interest in acting, but I kind of left God on a mantle in a sense. Like I didn't really intently let him lead me and guide me. And so I think I was just kind of you know, really winging it. And then I you know, I did okay. And I did accomplish certain things, but I just feel like this time I had such more of a peace because I felt like I was intently seeking the Lord to help me to figure out what it is that I needed to do and what I would be, you know, great at. And so definitely ebbs and flows. It's just not easy. It's just not easy sometimes in those moments. But when you really take the time to seek after the Lord and see what he has for you to do, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. And so, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love that. A very crucial point that you make is seeking the Lord to know what he wants you to do. And that process will not be easy. Even the process of seeking the Lord and letting him tell you, because sometimes, because I've definitely been there in situations where I feel like, I don't know, like I'm here, I'm praying, I'm sincerely praying, I'm sincerely asking the Lord, but I don't feel like he's telling me anything. So that is the thing that people are going to experience. Like, I don't know what to do with this feeling. But I think one very crucial, you know how the Bible says the joy of the Lord is your strength. I feel until that, you know, will be helpful through the ebbs and flows, through the different seasons where it feels like nothing is making sense, nothing is happening. But we have the strength inside of us, we have the peace because we know that we're seeking the Lord.
Right.
When we're not, when we're trying to do it, you know, like you said, you just wanted to follow your heart at first. You wanted to do it the way you wanted to do it. That will be devoid of that peace and that joy because you know that you're not seeking the Lord. Because at the back of our minds, if we truly believe in Jesus, we know that he loves us, irrespective. Like it's unconditional love, and we know that he has good plans for us. That's right. Having that foundation, everything can build on top of it. So that when it's difficult, you know you have the foundation of God has a great plan for me. Yes, it looks difficult right now. It feels hard right now. But I choose to be joyful in this season because I know it's going to be fine. I know, you know, he's got me. So I really love that. Thinking about the different aspects that way when you first took a step and you did it because you were winging it. But now knowing that I just want to follow what God has for me. Thank you for sharing. So do you have any specific frameworks, like a mindset, maybe a quote, maybe a verse of the Bible, something that helps you really ground yourself in joy even when it's hard?
I will say that prayer, just going to that secret place, is so important for me. You know, seek the Lord in all that you do. That is so important, just to go to that secret place and just have the Lord to, as we've said before, to lead you and guide you, because you're not going to always know the answers. You're not going to always know the answers. And a Bible verse that's coming to me right now is just, the Lord will restore the years the locusts have eaten. And because so while you feel like you've wasted time, you've been trying this, you've been trying that, all your valuable time, your good years are gone. You know, God sees, he knows that you're trying. We can't catch God off guard. It's impossible. He knows that we're going to try things, and we may be trying things that's not going to work, but he knows that he's going to work all things together for our good. And he's going to restore those years. He can even restore the joy that you felt like you've lost during that time. And so I feel like that's important for us to keep in mind, and have a mindset of, God sees me, he hears me, he knows my heart, and he knows what I'm trying to do. Even in those moments where we feel like we just can't hear God, like you're crying out to him, and you're pouring out your heart to him, and you feel like you don't hear him. But he's there, he's working behind the scenes, whether you hear him or not. He's steady working. And so that helps to keep me inspired during those valleys that sometimes we go through, because you know, there's ups and downs to life be lifing sometimes. And so you have to really seek out God and allow him to just, you know, lead you and guide you in how you need to go. And another thing I want to add to that, prayer, maintaining a posture of prayer. To add to that, I'd like to say community is something that I think is important too, when it comes to, you know, staying joyful about the work that you do, because, you know, iron sharpens iron. You know, we need to have that interaction with others. whether that be in person or virtual. I know for me, with doing voiceover work, I can get really, there's some really dry months or dry weeks, I should say, and I'm like, oh, I don't hear anything, I don't have a client, like what's happening? But having there's a coach, a voiceover coach that I follow on YouTube, and he has daily huddles every day during the week, and with other voiceover artists, and we get to interact with each other. We get to ask questions. He motivates us. He gives us inspiration. He gives us tips. And so just when those moments, I feel like I'm a little lost. I'm not sure what I'm doing, and I jump on that live session, and I just feel like I've been poured into, and I have the juice and motivation to go about this again. And so it's just important to have community, because sometimes when you're in those seasons where you feel like I'm just not sure about this, you need someone to speak into you. You need someone to pour into you. You need someone to help you feel like you are making strides. You can do this thing, basically. So just keeping that mindset and community and prayer, and just going to that secret place that you are for sure to stay in a joyful place in that way.
Love it. I love that you mentioned community, because many years ago, so right now, a few days ago, we just launched a podcast, the Driven Introvert podcast on the Shepact, and that was such an exciting thing for me. But many years ago, a lot of people don't know this, because I don't share about it I haven't shared about it in a long time, is I had a podcast sometime in 2016. And I was just so excited about trying something, because like I said, I've always been a creative. I just love to do things. Like, I've done so many things. A lot of them have not gone anywhere, but just of doing them has been so empowering for me. But this time I told myself, I want to do this podcast right. I don't want to go it by myself. I don't want to just do it, and then when things are hard, I'm by myself, because it's not, it's difficult and I can't pick myself up. You know how the Bible says when two walk together, so I'm like, I need that. So I like that you mentioned community, and that you found like a community of like voiceover artists that you can join and empower you in that way. Because I did the same. Before we jumped on this live, I was on a call with podcasters, podcasters in the room, and just learning and asking questions and seeing what people are experiencing, what people are doing. I'm in a better mindset, this time podcasting, because I have community, because I'm not trying to do it by myself, because I'm trusting that the Lord will give me insight and wisdom, but also through other people, because he talks through other people. He empowers us through other people. So I love that you mentioned that is so absolutely true. Having joy in the things that we do is so crucial. It's very easy to burn out. It's very give up when things are not, like you said, some months is like, I also have a business where I do design for clients. So I absolutely feel you that those months you're like, what is happening? Where are the people? Have to keep a joyful mindset and know that God has a plan for you, and he's working with you in your business, in your creative ideas and pursuits, so it's very easy to feel isolated. But the tips that you've mentioned here, really staying in the place of prayer, trusting God, and also finding community is so crucial. So let me ask you a question. What do you think? I mean, this might be like walking back from what we've said, but I just want to see what you think. What do you think most people get wrong when it comes to the power of joy in productivity? So we want to be productive, we want to do things, we want to pursue things, but we're not doing it out of a place of joy. What do we get wrong about that?
So I'd like to say, when I think of productivity, I think of the state of being effective, producing something of quality, right? And so in order to do that, I feel like joy fuels productivity. When you feel joy, when you feel, content with whatever work you're doing, when you feel, like you're doing the call on your life, you're living out the call on your life, and you're doing something that you really truly enjoy, that shows up in your work. You're productive. You are consistent in what you do. I mean, we all have, good and bad days. That's normal. But for the most part, the quality of the work you're doing is great. And I feel like sometimes we don't always make that connection, that joy fuels productivity. And so when you're not joyful, that can also show up in your work as well. So you're just kind of like pouring out of an empty tank. So I think having to understand, where your joy stems from. To me, joy is internal. Happiness is just is based off what's happening around you. But joy is internal, and so it's always there, even though when we don't feel like it. You have to stir yourself up sometimes, and so that's what I feel. I feel like people will need to understand, or even myself at times, just to remember that joy fuels productivity. So if you're ever in a position where you feel like you're not being productive, think about your joy tank. Like, all right, where are you pouring out from? I'm going to be real transparent here. During the moments or the years that I was teaching, primarily the very last year that I was teaching, I started to realize that even in some of the way I was approaching my work with teaching was kind of suffering, because I felt like I was miserable. I was miserable. I was tired. I was burnt out. I was tired of doing this thing that I didn't necessarily feel like I was called to do. Long term, I was great at it, but after a while, you start to burn out. And, this is year 5, and I'm just like, ugh, I did get fired or anything. It wasn't anything quite like that, but it was just like I saw my work suffer, and I wasn't being as effective and productive as I should. And so that's a prime example of pulling and pouring out of a place where there's nothing there really. You're just thank God for God's grace. He graced me through that period. But we definitely have to keep in mind that joy definitely fuels productivity. So,
Yeah, I love that. Even talking about work, in the last, I think the second episode of the podcast, I was talking to Coach Anna, and she literally coached me on that podcast, because I had a job, just like you mentioned, I had a job that I did not like. That was so difficult. I struggled through that season of my life. And I wish that I had really taken this joy thing to heart, because it doesn't have to be the best job, but you can be joyful through it and do your best and still, thrive and still flourish in that season, even when it's hard. I think sometimes we have the zero-sum mentality, like, well, I don't like this job, so I can never be on this job. Until I get something else, I can never be happy. But we can find joy even when we don't like the things we're doing, while we're on the way to doing something better. So I think it's very important to think about joy like that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let me ask you a final question before we go. What have you learned? Maybe one thing that you've learned about your creative journey so far? So you've talked about, you've had different jobs, you've had different ideas, you've written things down on your phone, and you're like, I want to do something. What have you learned about this journey so far?
I would have to say that I've learned about myself, that this journey has taught me that I am truly committed to trying. I think I read something about you too, like you're a trier. You try different things. But yeah, I am truly committed to trying and to finding that thing that brings me joy. That I think that is what has even in those ups and those ebbs and flows, that is what has sustained me for the most part. It's just knowing that I'm committed to trying. I'm going to find what it is that God has called me to do. I'm going to find that joy. I'm going to find that work that I can do with joy and share joy with others, And so that is what this journey, my creative journey, has taught me. And I like to share this too. Joyce Meyer, she's one of my favorite Bible teachers. And she says this a lot within her sermon. She often says that, in order to know what you're good at, you got to get out of the boat. And I love that, because sometimes we feel like, we're not certain about what we can do. We don't know what our abilities or capabilities are, because we don't ever get out of the boat. We don't ever try new things. We let fear get to us. We let mama and daddy and cousin them, talk us out of doing things. And but we have to believe and trust in the gifts and talents and abilities that God has placed in us, and just get out of the boat and try it. If you fail, okay, well that's part of life. Get up and try again. And so I have, like I said, this journey has really taught me that I am committed to trying. If I fail, oh, okay, well, that wasn't it. Let's try something else. But yeah, that is important. That is an important thing that I've learned throughout this journey.
Oh my God, Amesha, you are speaking my language right now. And this is what I feel like. This is one consistent message that I have had in my head for so many years, is just do something.
Right.
Just try. Take a step, start something. Doesn't mean everybody has to be, how people say, not everybody has to be an entrepreneur. I get it. And this is not about, business and entrepreneurship. This is about following your dreams. This is about doing the things that you know that God has graced you to do. So many times we let fear hold us back because we don't know where to start. We don't know what to do. What if it doesn't work? What if people laugh at me?
Yeah.
What if it fails and it's like a public failure? Like, who cares? Just give it a shot. You know, I love that. I call myself a trier because I want it to sink into my brain and into my heart that there is no way you can ever succeed at anything if you don't try. You have to try. You have to give it a shot. So I really love that. And I hope that this encourages anyone listening and everyone who will listen to this live. Everything you've shared here today, I'm really grateful that you touched on this. And as a matter of fact, next month, the reflection for next month is start. Just to encourage people to take that step, whatever it looks like. Don't wait for the perfect thing. Sometimes we're waiting for the stars to align.
Yes.
Working like, this is the perfect time, my child, now go. No, that's not good. We just have to take that step. So I love it. I love that you're taking that step in your own life. I love that you are just being creative and being productive and seeking the Lord while you're doing all of this, because I think it's easy to lose that connection and knowing that this is me just doing what God wants me to do. And sometimes even if we don't know, we ask him to give us direction.
Right.
And sometimes even until we get the direction, because like I said before, sometimes it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
You ask for the you don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
What is the next best thing you can do?
Right.
As long as it's not going to hurt anyone.
Nope.
It's going to give you skills and your abilities, and it's going to give glory to God. Give it a shot.
Yes.
I love it. Absolutely. So much for sharing about your journey. And for everyone listening, please check out Amesha's feature on our Instagram page. I love her story, and I'm so glad. I know a lot of people will connect to your story because we have those fears like, oh, I want to do this, I want to be creative, but is it gonna pay their bills? Is it gonna make you
bills are a real thing. Bills are for sure a real thing. So it's not easy.
Absolutely. And I know it's possible. You know,
it's possible. Yes, exactly.
God, if dreams to God, he can just show us how to do it, how to live this life intentionally and the way that he wants us to. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed our chat. And to everyone, I hope that you continue to take courage, trust God, and go and pursue your big ideas. Thank you so much. Bye.